everybody. We're here with the last panel of the day for the Black Queer Excellence Summit. I am, if you remember me from many moons ago at 1:30 or something like that, I don't know. I've done so much since then. I am Pleasantly Twisted and I'm moderating this panel. This is going to be a little bit lighter than what we've been doing over the course of the day. We're going to talk about our experiences, but we're also going to talk about the joys that we have in charity fundraising, along with ways that you can get involved. So I am going to see, we had an order, but I think it's all messed up. It is all messed up. So I'm going to go in order of what we have on the screen. So if everyone could introduce themselves, starting with Lucille.
Hi, I'm Lucille. I'm a drag queen here on Twitch. And for all intents and purposes, we'll assume I'm always in drag because I'm not wearing any makeup right now. So yeah, I stream regularly. I've been a drag queen for, I think, 9 years now. I actually have done it for a long time in person as well. And always really liked video games and was like, since I'm always in this outfit, I might as well play some video games, you know, on the internet in it. So yeah. Fun fact about, I guess that's sort of my fun fact. So
that's perfectly fine. Y'all will learn very quickly. I'm like super organized. It's like, hey, Vanessa, you can just sit down for a second. Organization, though. That's perfectly fine. Someone who doesn't probably need an intro, but I'm going to make you do one anyway. Urban Bohemian.
Hi, my name is Olivia Coleman. I'm in every panel today. I am Brian. I'm Urban Bohemian everywhere. Yes. Yes, you have seen me who've been able to join us. And I'm a variety streamer on Twitch, and I'm very tired.
I'm so sorry, Urban, but we're going to make it. We're going to make it. Sophie, you want to go ahead and go? We're going to make it.
Hi, I'm Sophie or Sophie. I kind of just go by both. I stream 7 nights a week here. Specifically Final Fantasy stuff, but variety as well. And mostly just really focus on trying to keep as comfy and cozy of a place as possible. We kind of keep things pretty low key, focus on talking about inclusivity and stuff and like how we can keep learning together and growing together. And it's a lot of fun.
Excellent. Perfect. Frank, you're up.
Hi, I'm Frank the Pegasus. I am a full-time caster here. Games, which is not a classification of game, but think things like The Sims and Minecraft and a lot of Animal Crossing as of late. Just basically anything where we can actually have conversations, usually surrounding mental health or body positivity, sex positivity, and also being real gay. So yeah.
And then last but not least, we have Jambo.
Hi, I'm Jambo. I'm also a full-time variety caster on Twitch. We focus a lot on just chatting or games that allow us to have conversations similar to Frank about inclusivity, mental health, charity. So this is a really awesome panel to be on, and I'm super excited.
I'm super excited, and I'm still slightly nervous, but nonetheless, like I said, we're going to make it. Lastly, there's me. I am Pleasantly Twisted. If you don't know, I am also a charity success manager at Tiltify. So I got so enamored with charity that someone said, you know what, you should do this for a job. And I was like, that's funny. And they said, no, we're being very serious. Please come work for us. So that's what I do now is I help out with charity in every magnitude I can. I have a cozy stream apparently, but I don't know how it's cozy considering the fact that I play Dark Souls 3 and challenge runs and speed runs. And there's just a lot of wine and profanity involved. And I've had people show up and they're like, oh, this is the cozy stream. And I'm still to this day very confused about it. So I'm very passionate about charity, very excited to be moderating this panel. Actually get to go home and go to sleep. And I know you're home already. We're all home. But I wanted to go ahead and get things up and moving. So the first thing I wanted to go ahead and ask everybody is, how did you get started with charity fundraising? How did you get involved into the charitable fundraising space?
My first. Oh, okay, go ahead. You can start. No, I just was like, nobody's talking.
That's been every single panel today, where everyone, the first question, it's like a moment of silence.
For all of the fallen
okay,
and
we're gonna
forgotten.
talk now.
My first charity stream was actually within the first year that I streamed, because I kind of started streaming in order to do charity work. We'll get more into detail about like why I started doing charity work, but I and one of the streamers that I started watching way back before I even knew what Twitch was, does the St. Jude Play Live every single year. So I just kind of latched onto that movement, which is a huge movement here on Twitch every single May. And that was my first fundraiser, and it was my first taste of doing some good and giving back.
Awesome. Yeah, I
I'm
think
in
that's
the
actually where.
same space.
Oh, go
as
ahead,
Frank.
Jambo. No, because I'm the
Sorry.
one moderating. I could shut up.
It's the same as Frank. I started streaming to help make a difference, and I watched streamers who raised money for charity for a long time, and it was so cool. And I was always kind of like a keep to myself person, and streaming really helped me get out of that comfort zone. And within the first 7 months of streaming, I did my first charity stream campaign for Toys for Tots at Christmas in 2017, and it was awesome.
I would say my experience with it was actually like super different, mainly because when I started on Twitch, I would say it was like 5 or 6 years ago that I streamed for the first time. And at that time, I had never seen anybody do a charity stream. I mean, granted, I also came onto the platform. And the first time I ever involved my stream with charity was basically I was like, hey guys, I'm just going to donate the money that I get through tips this month to charity, because I didn't even know like what a charity stream was or how to run one. And that was the first time that we ever like did anything for charity. But that was like a long time ago before like I even knew what Tiltify was or anything.
I think I had a very different experience. So I actually came from, doing drag off the internet as well, and had a history of doing like charity drag shows. I think drag culture has always been sort of very deeply intertwined with like activism, making change and stuff like that. And there's a long history of it. So charity drag shows were just something that like I knew about when I first started drag, was just a thing that you do. And so I sort of came from a history of doing those, and on Twitch for a while, but the idea of like a virtual drag show was something that like I didn't even realize, like understand that could even be a thing. I was like, no, I do my thing, I do this off, and that was just it. But we were putting together I really want to put together one to feature people and feature other performers that I knew on this platform. It was sort of like, this was right at the start of COVID. This was right at the start of like, sort of a greater understanding nationally about like the Black Lives Matter protests and stuff like that and everything going on. And we were like, well, we're going to have people here watching the show. Like, can we raise some money for this? And it was sort of like, it very much was just like, it fell into it. It was like, okay, how do we do this? Like, I don't know. It was a lot of me like Googling and like trying to figure out like last minute, like, how do we get this here? But it was essentially like, we're going to do numbers and we're going to put on a show, and you give that money, drag culture is very much like, it comes from like a tip culture as well. Performer and tip the charity, like we're going to make this happen. And it actually was why, like, it blew my mind, like how much you could raise just from like standing here on the internet. Like I was like, I don't know, we're wearing wigs and like great, like people are thrilled. Like it was really cool. So it was very unexpected. I knew really nothing about this like on the Twitch sphere. So it was very much like learn as we go. Like somebody says something like during a stream and I'm like, Google, what does that mean? I don't even understand.
I think that's like the curse of everyone who's done any type of stream where it's like, hey, how do you do this? And I'm like, do the what now? And you're just like sitting there quietly with a straight face and your hands are furiously on your keyboard, just like, I think I'm typing the right thing. You know what? We just gonna hit enter and see. Yes, I have the answer to that. And in the back of your head, you're going, I do not. Here in like a couple of seconds, maybe, possibly. But Urban, go ahead with yours.
For me, it's the charitable fundraising started like way before anything. I basically just raised for a lot of LGBTQIA plus charities, and like it never really occurred to me. Like I had people who were still in social justice, in nonprofit spaces, and then because the community is such a like our community basically just cares. I was like, okay, well, let's just say let's just try doing this for a month. Anything we get in terms of bits or subs, and I put a ticker up, and I'm like, okay, we'll try this, and it was give money for good causes. So I was like, oh, okay, do y'all want to keep doing this? Because it was really overwhelming and enlightening to do it here because I'm an old school like pledge drive on PBS person. So I'm like, yeah, I can sit here and segue into a charity like flawlessly. So let's just do this for a few hours. Why not?
And I kind of share the same story as everyone else. I got started kind of in the same way. Urban, I remember like the pledges and stuff on TV when I was younger and just being like, asking my dad, I'm like, why are they asking for money through the TV? And my dad just kind of would stare at me. It's like, I don't know how to answer this. And I'm like, I'm that kid. I have more questions, but then, I grew up and I just go do it anyway. And he's like, yeah, that's the kid I knew you're going to turn into. But anywho, I digress. I kind of started the same way that Spoofy did, where I fell into streaming. I started out watching Black woman on camera streaming, you're hilarious. No, that's not gonna happen. And then lo and behold, I was like, well, maybe I'll try it. And then a few people showed up and I was like, well, maybe I'll get a cam. And then I started putting up like donation trackers and everything, being like, hey, can you help me buy a cam? I am a sad poor and I have no idea how to even get started with this. And I think that tracker lasted a day and was like, oh, well, okay, sure, yeah. And then I did something different for like my mic at the time. And someone approached me later on and said, hey, do you want to raise money for the Trevor Project? I was like, yeah, sure, since people seem to like dropping off money for things. And it's been just a downward swing for me ever since. And my first big one was of 2020. But again, I got so enamored in working in the space that I now officially work there. So, if that's a thing you're into, I can help with that. But nonetheless, we're all here with great causes behind our backs and under our belts that we love to help with our actual stream communities, which actually leads into the second question that I had for us today is what was the moment that made you realize I'll be doing this on a regular basis? Did you make it a part of your regular outline content and everything? Like, I know I got into the weeds and was like, yes, I'm gonna do this quarterly. And then this year alone with COVID, I think I've done at least 5, and I'm gonna plan one more before we close out the year.
So I think I waited because there was a lot of pressure that I put on myself and that people around me kind of had when I was growing, that if you didn't have a big enough audience, doing a charity stream wouldn't matter. And there was a lot of that pressure when I was growing until I finally decided to just do it because I wanted to, and I was tired of being told that I couldn't do anything. And after that, it became, I want to keep doing this, but you also have to keep in mind charity burnout for your communities. So what I would do is I would do charity streams. Even now, I'll do 2 major campaigns a year. Charity. So whatever comes in for me, I donate a percentage of that to a charity. Sometimes the community will help us decide, or I'll just do it of my own accord. But every single month I make a donation myself so that regardless, we're not doing a charity campaign, but something is still going to people who need it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm doing something similar with mine now. With me being partnered and everything,
Yeah.
I can actually make that kind of movement, having the better job, being partnered. And I was like, okay, we're going to start putting proceeds to charitable donations. Also, something I want to inject before other people start. If you ever convince yourself that what you raise doesn't matter, I will personally find you on your channel and I will fight you. I will fight you.
Yeah, I was going to interject and say, I don't know who was giving that information. Just do it. Just do it. If you raise $5, you raised $5. That's great. If you raise $50, $100, like it does not matter the size that you have. It does not matter because you will get like anybody in passing coming through. You'll have that one person that shows up that'll say, hey, instead of subbing to you this month, I'm going to donate to your
Yes.
charity. Like, it does not matter because it is charitable regardless. And all you have is to like dedicate your time. Like, you don't need a sizable audience. You don't have to have these huge lofty. So
And
if you've
that's
been
so
wanting to do it, just
important.
do it. Just do it.
And I think that the reason that I push that so hard is because it was pushed against me when I was growing. You should never tell someone that charity streaming doesn't matter if you don't have a Lupo-sized community. You can do literally anything. You have 2 viewers, that's 2 viewers that can still be there with you while you raise money for a good cause. $5 is $5. And I think one of the things I love about St. Jude Play Live is they put up a sheet on their site that tells you what $1 can do, what
Yes.
5 they do that so that you do see that you can make a difference with
And
anything.
even more than that, like let's say you really want to do a charity stream and you don't end up raising any money for that charity, but the 3 people in your chat that came by while you were doing that charity stream now know that that charity exists and what they do. Like, that still is getting the word out about the charity and the good that they're doing, and like they could potentially go spread that word elsewhere. So like, even if you don't actually end up raising money, like, it's still good. Just do it. Motivate folks to do the thing that they want to do,
Yes.
whatever size you are.
Oh gosh, yeah. But I did want to interject that one point because, and I know that there's people who have that mindset. And as someone who is in this space officially, I will work tirelessly to just dispel that. No, if you want to go raise money for charity, go raise money for charity. I don't care if you only raise $10. You take the only out, you raise $10. You raise money for charity. Point blank, end of the discussion. But to make sure that we do stay on topic, Frank, when did you decide that you're going to do this on a regular basis?
I think it was even before my first charity stream. Like I said, I kind of set my stream up to incorporate charity into it. I didn't always know that it was going to be St. Jude. I kind of tried that one out, and then I was like, oh, I like this one. This one is really fun. And I think it's because there's so much hype on Twitch for that particular month, for that particular charity. But kind of as time has gone on, I have started looking at charities that are just like maybe more timely to causes that are happening, or if there is media presence for something, the chances are that you are going to be like, the good that you could do is actually compounded by other people talking about that charity already, which is, I think, why St. Jude Play Live does so well every single year, because people are always talking about it during May, right? And it's like the same thing. So if there's a fire going on, I might do, the World Wildlife Fund for relief for that. Or if there is like during the Black Lives Matter boom in June, that huge boom in June, I was like, yeah, now's the time. Let's all do as much good as we can while everybody is thinking about it and everybody is kind of in that mindset. And then, we can continue that cycle later, right? We can continue to say like, hey, this is still a thing. Remember when we were all talking about it? Let's maybe continue to talk about it and, keep that all in the back of your mind always. But I knew from the start that I was going to be doing charity. And I think the first charity, and just like, yep, this is for you now. You got the bug bit you, and it's never going to let go. So
I feel like I have two, like, I totally agree. Like, when there's that media attention, that's really important. I think there's sort of a flip side of that it's also a really cool chance to bring attention to causes that are smaller, and things like that. And I think that's like, something sort of with my stream is I'm like, okay, I know for these shows, like, we're going to have a certain number of people there. Various ones have been like the Autistic Women and Non-Binary Network, which particularly like, works with like AFAB, non-binary or AFAB, autistic people. And I think it's something that like, from some of these smaller organizations too, that impact goes really, really far. I remember they reached out to me being like, this is specifically what this can do. My next show coming up is going to be for Black trans looking at their site and looking what they're doing, like $50 can get a COVID supplies pack for people. You know, literally like saving lives, you know, like it's so silly like that. It's like a small organization and like it feels like, I don't know, like don't know if we're gonna get the same attention or not, and maybe we don't raise as much money, you know, as a larger organization, but it goes like a really like feel like, oh, this is the organizations everyone's doing. Like introduce people to something. Like if they're on Tiltify and you're like, I don't even think they have much of a description, but I'm gonna look up their company and see if they're there. Like, can we get them on Tiltify? You know, can we tell them about it? You know?
I was going to say,
Yeah.
like, to that credit, I didn't actually raise money for Black Lives Matter during June. I raised money for the LGBT Freedom Fund, which was providing relief for folks that were being incarcerated during protests for Black Lives Matter. But I specifically reached out to them because it's important to me. I was going to do a different Pride organization, but it was really, really important to me to have as much crossover inclusivity as I possibly could. And I did exactly that. You find an organization that you feel really passionately about, that you're looking at, and they are doing the exact thing that you're hoping that you want to, you want to support. And then you try to get them on the platform in a way that helps you to be most successful, which at this point is really, truly Tiltify. So
Yeah, it's a whole, like, I always tell, like, if people are looking to start, like if they just want to do something for the first time, I will say, like, you probably want to look at Extra Life. You want to look at, say, it's very easy for you to hop into that. It's
Yeah.
very easy for you to get talking points and know exactly what the money
Yeah.
goes for. But then, yeah, like when Black History Month or Pride Month comes around, there are a lot of people who will say, well, why aren't you raising for this charity? And I'm like, well, that charity actually gets plenty of media attention and plenty of money, but this charity over here that no one's ever heard of, let's see if we can just like, and I mean, they may not be on Tiltify. I think for the charities I've done that are like they're not big pushes, I basically just did like, okay, look, if you send it to PayPal, we'll wrap that up at the end of the month and we'll send it to them. And that's it. And yeah, very specifically what that money does. And I feel like sharing that with your community, it kind of snowballs. You know, there's exhaustion. There's like, okay, we don't have to do a fundraiser every month, but I think letting people know that the money they actually gave, small or large, how much of a difference it made for people. I think that really helps like energize your community to want to do more of this.
If you have a charity you really love to, you can contact them too. I've been like going to all my local animal shelters and getting them onto Tiltify because like I've been planning things with them for later. But yeah, you can talk to them because you can't do it, but they can do it. And a lot of them are like, okay, sure, why not? Of course, we want money to help. So yeah, that's a really good way to do it. I guess I can go off on my realize it was going to be something I was doing regularly until after a few charity streams, because I just my first like official charity stream, I was contacted by Save the Children and they were like, hey, we're raising money on this day, do you want to participate? And I was like, sure. And then it kind of just kept being this like, oh, this team I'm on is doing this like every few months, and I was like, I guess this is a regular. I love doing this, so I just kind of kept doing it from there.
You know, that's actually funny you say that because I mentioned earlier that the whole reason I got started is because someone approached me. And the person who approached me, they unfortunately don't stream anymore, but they're very much queer aligned as well. And that's why we wound up raising money for the Trevor Project. So definitely being in Black and queer spaces has spoken a lot to my charitable fundraising efforts. And I love some of the comments that people made as well about these smaller charities. It's on them because we've talked a lot about like St. Jude and everyone knows exactly who that is. But then outside of May, there's still 11 more months in a year and we have plenty of other causes that we can help as well. So with that being said, that actually kind of leads into something else I wanted to ask everybody on the panel. How has being part of Black and or queer spaces aided your charitable efforts? And then did this help you find some of the charities that you raise money for? We've kind of touched on that a little bit, but I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts and expand further on that point.
I was waiting. I was like, no one's gonna talk. Okay. For me, there are like very specific, like me as a person, as an activist. It has actually been incredibly hard during COVID and stuff like that, like due to some, more serious like chronic health things. I actually can't leave the house. Like I literally, for really important health stuff. And so it was really like, I was like, okay, I've got to take these values and stuff that like are so integral to my life and apply that to my charity, and to the streaming. And so like, I've set like very strict rules, like, there has to be diversity on the board organization, until I have that more information. And that's got to mean like Black people on the board. That's got to mean like gender diversity, if it can, like I would love to see like neurodiversity and stuff like that. Like, are they, working with people with disabilities? Like, is that a part of, and regardless of whether it's on their website or not, like is that because that's huge and that's something that I want to do, and like looking at like, do they work, like if they're not a queer specific one, do they have queer specific work happening right now, like for their organization? Like, is that going on? And so for me, like, it was just like, this is just going to be a rule. And then of course I always search like the name, and then or there was, like wild something going on, like, because it was like, you're putting your name behind this and you're saying like, this is what I'm standing behind. And I think to me, like, not only has it made sure that I'm like finding organizations that I work with, or connect with, but I also like, it's helped me like find a ton that I just had no idea about. And it was just like, I put in a few, if I like, I don't think I would have sat down and like been like, let's, it's Monday morning, let's look up charities just for fun, and so putting it like as a goal, like this is what I'm going to look for, I think that, really helped to find some of these. I don't know, I just think that like finding those that match that are really, really important to me.
I can only echo all of that, really.
I was gonna say, like, that's a lot of stuff that even before I got my
Yep.
job and everything, that was something that was very, very important to me. Like, I had a whole separate sheet dedicated to charities that I had went through and vetted, because I had made this huge thread saying, tell me the heart to go back and be like, hey, did you know this charity was in this scandal? I just kind of went, just kind of pushed it to the side. It's like, I keep it there. But it's really nice to hear as well that like there's different vetting practices, there's different ideas of finding those different charities. And then something that didn't get quite touched on by Lucille is the fact that you can start off with something like Color of Change and then see who they're associated with, see who they're working with, see what other charities they're directly connected to, because then I'll help you get much more of that range and gamut that you were talking about with like autistic people, neurodivergent people, disabilities. I know I wouldn't know about the Lupus Foundation personally that we wrote on. So
I think
connecting
it's
all that. Yeah,
It's
go ahead,
really
Sophie.
important. I agree.
Oh no, sorry, that's Jambo.
To be whoever,
I
call me
saw
whatever.
both mouths moving. Was like, wait, that's not the right voice.
I think it's important, at least for me, to be able to have contact with a charity. So I like to be able to speak with someone. I want to know more, because a lot of times you can read a website, but you can't. I want to know why they started this. I want to know what it means to them, because it means a lot to me to be able to help. And to be honest, there are some charities out there who can't give you an answer. And that's it's not someone that I want to work with. Vetting is not to what I want to show my community is that you want to help people who care. You want to help people who are passionate. You want to be able to give to people who they can relate to, or who you can relate to, or what relates to a bigger global issue. You want to show them that it matters to the people that you're giving it to. It's important to vet, like y'all are saying, who you're working with.
Yeah, and I can't stress enough how important being in diverse spaces is, like
Mhm.
yourself, and consuming content that's diverse, whether it's on Twitch or otherwise, because This year I raised money for the Freedom Fund and the Trevor Project, queer charities, or and honestly, I attribute a lot of it to being part of the Rainbow Arcade. And I mean, I've been bi my whole life, but only this year do I really feel like I learned a lot more. And through going to streamers of the Rainbow Arcade streams and seeing them individually raising money for different charities, I've faces and like just like opening up to the information is really good.
Always be learning.
Yeah, and I'll say actually check in with your networks. Like for me, if you know, I can search for charities all day, but sometimes I go to, you know, like first off, like I'm like, okay, I can tell that they are doing good work, but sometimes I just went, you know, my ex's trans, and I said, hey, is there a charity that I should be raising for that is not big name charity here?
Yeah.
And he's like, and he's like, hold on a second. And then I got like a text with like 5 of them. So I'm like, okay. You know, for me, it's knowing somebody who is either personally like they work for a charity, they're personally affected and touched by that charity's efforts. That to me is another big part of my vetting process because, like, you know, I got a day job, which is part time. I cannot be on the internet all day, like looking.
So yeah, I don't have the time or the range. But I digress. But exactly that. But my last job is what made it easy for me because I was at a desk job that I could do in my sleep, not to like put them under the bus like that, but it gave me the time to. Frankie, you were going to say something.
Nope. I was just
Oh,
laughing.
I just wanted to make sure. I'm trying to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk and everything. So yeah, I think that a lot of the stuff that was mentioned here was very, very important just because being queer adjacent to someone really helped me out. And then getting more involved in charity myself, I was again. And the other thing I really enjoy that brings me joy personally, I can share that information with people. This way, when someone pops up and says, hey, do you know of a charity that can do XYZ? And I can actually give them like a full roster and be like, here's some that look like they're pretty decent. And then some of them are small, some of them are medium size, but it's going to cover the things that you want to talk. I was going to touch on, and we've kind of started bleeding into this ever so slightly, but not really heavily. I wanted to ask about what are some challenges that you faced as a marginalized charity influencer. I know before the call had got started, we started talking about that a little bit, but we had to reel it back in. So now is the opportunity to talk about things you've had to deal with that are challenging as a marginalized individual.
The first major charity campaign that I did, I was raising money for St. Jude, and there were people donating. You know, I got the first like big charity donation I'd ever seen. And there was somebody who came in and said that if I weren't a woman, I wouldn't have gotten that donation to my campaign. And that has stuck with me forever. That is something that has been in my head since then. Good cause, my gender means that I'm raising more money. And it was one of the most frustrating things. And at that point, I had no idea how to deal with it. I had no idea how. I wasn't equipped mentally to combat that in the moment. I had never experienced. And even still, there are still those people who will make comments about, you know, the fact that I am female and that being what incentivizes donations.
I'm gonna let everyone else talk because I have work.
Angry. I'm sorry. That was
No,
like,
no, it's fine.
It's
Oh,
truly
it's not
for
angry
hands.
at. It's
No.
angry. It's angry with trust. It's
No,
angry
I would
with,
say,
yeah.
and for what it's worth, I'm very easy to put to that state of just being like, oh, I see you're approaching me. Okay. No, I got you. It's cool. But like I said, I'm gonna wait till last.
Comes to mind for me is recently I did a stream raising money for Trans Lifeline back in September, and I did it on the launch of a game, and I spent like, I want to say a good couple months and like 4 different supporting the stream in some way or like even acknowledging it, and it was like radio silence, and like I can't be sure that it was to do with the charity I was raising money for, but it's just like it's in the back of my mind, you know. I'm like, why didn't you even say anything at all? Not even like an acknowledgement. Frustrated me.
I think anytime you raise money for a group that is a marginalized group, especially as a member of said marginalized group, you're always questioned why. Like, why that group? Why are we raising money for, you know, this cause specifically? And I mean, that could be said, I guess, for any charitable cause that you're raising money for. You should be equipped to talk about why you're raising money for that cause, but it always feels like it's coming at like, why are we raising money for queer folk when we could be raising money for queer folk? And, you know, it's just because, you know, like, and there's so many answers to that. And I really honestly shouldn't have to defend that question. But that one is always a frustration to me when people kind of come in and challenge the thing that you're raising money for. And thankfully, it doesn't happen terribly often to me specifically, but it is still frustrating every time because all I can think is it's all going to good causes. It doesn't matter if it's your favorite good cause or my favorite good cause. And also, I am not asking you specifically, person that's asking this question, to donate. You don't have to be here elsewhere. This is the cause that I am raising money for. And, you know, if you want to raise money for that other cause, go do that yourself, or go donate. If this enrages you so much, go donate to your cause. I don't care. I'm happy that you're donating. Go donate to charity, you know? That one gets me. That one gets me going.
Did one 2 years ago for breast cancer. And I had somebody come in while we were raising money for breast cancer to ask if I was going to do one also for prostate cancer. Like, while I'm raising money for breast cancer, they're like, "Will you also be doing one for prostate cancer?" I it's
Where's
it's
my international?
I was gonna say, I feel like this is the one that we all can collectively just get in on for a second, because it's like I don't know how to tell you that there are multiple good causes and that you don't just
That's almost worse than the harassment that you would normally get, just, you know, non-cis het white guy on the platform. That I was like, yeah, that's probably the worst thing I do with charity fundraising. I'm like, no, it is. It's the trolls who come in, and for some reason, whatever charity you're raising money for, the very idea of it offends them so much that they're like, why are you raising money for X? Raising money for X? Nobody asked you to come in here and say stuff, except I know you just want to come in here and bop a buoy and be out. But it's like, that to me is the most frustrating part. It's like, we're actually trying to talk about a real cause. We're trying to help people, and you just want to come in here. But what about, nobody cares. No one cares. Or if people do care, as Frank said, go donate. Go donate. Go, you know what? You
Find the link for you, you know?
yeah.
Go. Please.
I was like, Lucille, you're not gonna get away. I see you over there.
Yeah, no. You know, sort of on my experience again, like, I feel like it's a little different where it's like, with a drag show, oftentimes our audience that's a very different experience sort of on Twitch versus in person. A lot of times when people go to an in-person drag show, like, it's going to be the one, you know, one of the 5 charity shows that this one venue is going to put on all year, and it's going to be the same people each time. And I think so there is a lot of, like, in what we're doing, a lot of education that sort of has to be built in, you know, and sometimes parsing that education where it's like, education where it's like what gender is on a stream. Like I shouldn't have to explain to you like that you can be trans and a drag performer, or that not all drag performers are trans, or that like drag kings, yes, are very much a thing, and yes, it's just as much work, and yes, it's just as important, but responsibility of saying like this is our chance to like share some of that. And I don't think we always have to put ourselves in that spot, but it very much is just a reality of like people aren't going to know what this is, and people aren't going to understand a lot of what is happening here. And it's sort of something that I don't know, it's organization. I'm going to get this here, and I'm going to like get the Tiltify link set up and make sure all the alerts are good and everything like that. And then it's like, do I have these resources for the people who aren't going to understand, for the people who are going to have questions, and some of it I'm like, bye. Like, I'm not afraid to be like, if you're going to be disrespectful, bye. Like, I actually don't need your validation because I have a mirror right there. And if we're going to be here and we're going to do this, like we are, it's an unfortunate reality that it is going to be like a lot of education. I'm going to have to be like, great, this is what a drag show is. Like, thank you so much for asking. Like, we're going to talk about this. I think a lot of the thing we get, like, it's from like performers that I'm working with have also never done a charity type show before. And so sometimes explaining like, what does it mean to be a charity show? Where does this come from? And I'm all for like pay queer art, like support that kind of thing too. But one of the things that like you can do with your art is to donate it towards a cause, and we like put this in chat, like we were talking, but I always use the example of like, it's like a restaurant donating a gift card to like a 50-50 raffle, give money to this cause. I'm going to be like, great, like we're going to put on an outfit, we're going to do a number, and we're going to donate our time for this. But again, there's a lot of like, there is like, it just comes with being a marginalized person, is that like fine balance of like, do I have to educate everyone around me? Also, is this just going to have to be something that like, if I would like to do, is going to be education that has to happen with that, and like build that into the time of what's what is my prep? Well, it's going to be like, do I have a PowerPoint presentation on this organization that I can give for like what is gender?
The expectation of some of the labor gets to a point. Like, I expect like to raise money for charity, and I'm like, I mean, that's cool. Like, what if I told you there's like several thousand other channels you can go to? Then I don't know what to tell you aside from that. And I personally have hit that point where I'm just like, I'm rude with it now. We're just like, I don't trust charities. I'm like, okay, cool. So anyway, and I'm like, I don't know if you saw my tracker bar, but according to that tracker bar, that's that many people who care about charity where you don't. So you can either keep your commentary to yourself or you can kick rocks. Doesn't bother me either way you do it, because when you leave or you stay and remain silent, I will be thriving. So around a little bit and get into kind of a joyous part of the charity fundraising bit. And we're going to talk about what some of our favorite incentives were over the course of our charity fundraising. You don't have to lie and tell me that you enjoyed the bacon soda. You're in a safe space here. You can tell me what you actually like to do. Oh, thank God.
I have
okay.
had a bacon candy
Oh.
cane.
A bacon what?
Candy canes are really bad.
I believe that.
Yeah, I
Really
think
we
we've
have the
bad.
turkey
we've
dinner
all-
candy corn, so I mean,
Oh, God.
Me
so
and you gonna
sorry.
fight about this candy corn.
yes, we will. Yeah.
We've all
And
done, I think, the food you don't like. That's
Yeah.
at this point. I
Mhm.
don't like pickles. I understand, like a lot of people like pickles. I think they're vile. I don't get
gross.
it. I don't understand it at all. They make me gag. And I will like straight up eat a pickle, like that's fine. But I also have done things like to do that one again, because I'm pretty sure I'll actually accidentally break terms of service and vomit on stream next time. So
Oh.
I won't ever do that again. The worst I ever did, and I'll never do it again, probably, is because there's always a price. Like, if you raise that much for charity, maybe I will. But I got in a tub, like I filled it with like homemade pickling juice, and then I streamed in a tub of
Pickled yourself. Pickled
It was gross.
Frank,
It
the
was
pickle
really
sis,
gross.
honestly.
You became a pickle. That's so
Oh
cool.
my gosh, no.
That's maybe the most silly.
Ah,
Can't
Twitch is
beat
a
that.
magical place. Like Twitch is great.
you know,
Yeah,
you
I
said
love
magical
that.
place, and I thought you were still talking about the pickle bath, and I was like, I'm sorry,
no,
what?
no,
He
that was
was.
horrible. Don't
I'm
do
sitting
it.
here
It
like
was
I would
so
donate
awful.
for that.
I don't know. I need to start telling celebrities on Instagram that the pickle juice, like the pickled juice thing, is like a beauty treatment. We can get this.
Pickle juice bath.
On the
Consider
complete-
I had a bunch
Vitamin
of.
detox.
I had like 12 eggs cracked on my head once, and the whole time I was like, "At least eggs are good for your hair."
I was just about to say that, and I was like, but you were doing your hair a heckin' good, so I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
I'm on the complete opposite end. Like this is probably the. I refuse to give my chat that much control. I won't do the I eat weird things or drink weird things. I think my favorite incentives are like the rewards for the things that I enjoy and they enjoy. So like I'll do a cooking stream and that's great, or like I'll play, oh god, dating simulator. Like that was all one stream.
I've never heard of this.
Oh my god.
Lucille.
New stream.
Lucille.
I will send you a link.
Join
in the
me
chat.
on my channel for KFC dating 24/7.
Lucille's
Oh my
about to get a
God.
link in the chat. But
Yep.
Yeah.
that's probably like the thing that I love is like, okay, prank me, or because they know like I would just not be having fun if I had to eat like one of the meltdown beans, or like I would not be having fun anymore.
I've taken my L. I pretty much live off of just the Bean Boozled beans. I've
so
accepted
bad.
that this is my fate. Also, I've accepted that I'll never get another chocolate pudding.
Boundaries, because like I won't do that.
Oh yeah,
No,
I'll do
I'll get
that.
in a vat of pickle juice, but I won't do that.
Or what was
What
it?
I
We
find
found
people
out. Go ahead, Lucille.
what people really love to do is I'll like take like 3 hours to like get ready and in makeup, and the one thing people want me to do is like ruin it. That's what people go for. You know, like at the end of like our streams and some people will be like, do a costume change, and I'm like, I can't just do a costume change like live on stream. Like I'm not gonna glue my wig down or anything. And everyone's like, do a costume change, we'll give like an extra $1,000. And I was like, oh my god, like it's so funny that I'm like, the one thing people want is to just like see my distraction. Oh, so you
That's
just want to
always-
watch me and
That's all
that's
they
what you
want.
want.
Yeah, they
That's
want to
what you
watch you
want. Yeah.
eat things you hate, ruin your
Yeah.
makeup, do something that makes you absurdly uncomfortable. I tell this to charities all the time. I'm like, when you see these fundraisers, don't be alarmed if you see them physically wanting to retch on stream. That's normal. And some of them are just like, wait, what? Just like, wait, what? And I'm like, no, that's
Front page. My first ever front page stream was for charity, and we hit our stretch goal. So I had to turn my face into a pizza. So I covered my whole face in sauce, and then I covered my whole face in cheese, and then stuck a bunch of pepperonis to my face in front of 2,000 people.
I
I
peaked.
ate the
I
pepperonis.
got nothing.
Pepperonis for an extra $100. Don't at me. Okay.
Oh, especially considering when you're first starting, and like you had mentioned this earlier, I've had the same moment where my first or she's out floating being amazing, Manalian, or Mina we call her, she
Yep.
dropped off $400 to my St. Jude stream, and she had been in my channel for all of like 20 minutes, and it was just crying and disastrous, and all my incentives got cleared out, and I was like, well, now I gotta come up with more stuff. I was being spicy by saying things like, I'm gonna do a makeup stream, because I can already hear the text being formed and being ready to be sent to me when I'm about to say this. I don't actually play in makeup. I am clueless to it. This is the third time in my life
don't
that
either.
I've ever done makeup. The third
I've
time.
never done it.
clean. This is your clean look.
Clean
And so
slate.
that's-
Sorry, I just woke up for this.
Like, oh, darn. See, I knew she was gonna come back. And the thing is, like the first stream, I had my friend Lucky here with me, and the whole time I'm just sitting there like mortified. I'm like, I think this might be worse than food. I don't know what I'm doing, y'all. I'm so with my done up face and everything. I actually think I wore this exact outfit, and I was like, this is my professional outfit. The gay suspenders and like the good booby bra. Yeah, this is gonna be the hosting outfit from here on. But yeah, it was like makeup was one that like I finally got a chance to find some makeup that I on me. Because you know, something being feminine, something you'll be prettier, and I'm just like, all of this just makes me not want to wear it more. And now I'm 34 and I'm finally starting, and I refuse to put up Instagram photos because I don't want the people who said that to me to make comments on it go away. But nonetheless, I think my favorite incentive to date has to be Dark Souls. Still, because the way that this came about was I did Dark Souls 3 for my first St. Jude run, saying if we hit $2,000, I'll play Dark Souls 3 for the first time and I'll probably cry the entire time. So of course they brought in like $2,300, and I was like, well, I almost said one of my phrases and I caught myself. Oh well. So I booted up, and I literally remember sitting there physically. This is the end of my streaming career. Everyone's gonna see that I'm a shill, and it's gonna be like a bunch of racial slurs, and people are gonna be like, they want their money back and all sorts of other stuff. And it wound up going really, really smooth. And now I do challenge runs of the game, and I have game collectibles, and I have a poster on my floor. The FromSoft franchise a lot. So that is probably my favorite one to date. And it was all for the sake of helping out for good causes. And then I did the same thing this year. My community just went bonkers and was like, here's 10 grand. I'm like, dude, what? And I had to play more games that I wound up liking and everything. Did we get everybody to give us an incentive story? I think we all just kind of talked about, here's the incentives that make us want to kill.
Can I say too, like, in terms of like getting support and stuff like that, like incentives, like something that I think can be really helpful as well is just raising awareness for your stream, you know, and something I've been trying to do is like incentives for like, when you get there, this is something that we can do. Like if you're going to come to the stream, like in advance, like I think sharing on social media and stuff like, and that's something that I've seen a lot, like vote ahead of time on what I'm going to do, you know, like things like that are really important. And like, as like an audience too, like is a really important way to support a creator is just some of that engagement, like comment a GIF, you know, so that somebody can, you know, that the algorithm, you know, understands that it's there. But I think that's something fun that you can do too. Like it doesn't always have to just necessarily. It can also be like, vote in this poll ahead of time. If I can get this many people to share this post, like I'll add an extra goal, you know, stuff like that. And I think like that, like don't underestimate the power of like those kind of incentives as well towards bringing in that money, you know. I'm always like, great, if we can get 10 more people and each one of those people gives $1, like that's $10, like that's $10 more. Like, oh, we have 300 right now, that's $300 right now, you know, like, and I think things like that, you know, just bringing in those extra voices is like huge, like really awesome. So that's like a fun, like incentive thing too, that I'm like, I think sometimes people think like the stream itself, and I'm like, no, there's like a lot building up that you can work, you know, and do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Too really helps out on so many different levels, because it isn't just the stream. It's like you said, it's the stream, it's the charity, it's getting more people involved, more people engaged, and then, oh no, more people like my content and more people are donating. The horror, this is the worst day ever. No, it's wins everywhere. It's something I said in a different. Yes, there's stuff you have to deal with, but is there really a downside or a negative to helping charity? I'm thinking no. So we are getting close to our wrap-up time. There's one final thing I want to touch on, and then we do need at least a couple of minutes to do our outros and everything. The last thing for the better in charity fundraising spaces. I know for me personally, I want to see more POC in direct involvement, not POC raising money. I want to see, when I look at their sites and I look at like their staff and their boards and stuff, I want to see more people who are involved that look like me. That's probably my one big thing. One big thing. And now, fault. You don't laugh at me. I am gonna black up the place. Well, yeah, what are some things you want to see changed in the charity fundraising space? Things that you think can be done better?
I think I'd like to see game companies get more involved. I think if
Yeah.
streaming is going to be a huge part of companies get more involved directly with charity fundraising within the streaming community.
Yeah,
really
good.
I think that would be really great. Just seeing them like not just making donations on the company's behalf, but like supporting folks that are doing the fundraising as well, because you know there's that intersection already exists, and it is because of Twitch culture that charity is so successful in live streaming. So if game companies can kind of get on board with that, I think that would be a really fantastic thing. I also would really like to see just like the charity companies themselves embrace streamers a lot more, and having kind of that liaison there of like best to support us. We're seeing it a little bit more, I think, with folks that have had like, I think certain charities that have had success, but I think we do all of that research ourselves when we talk about all of these like smaller organizations, but seeing organizations embrace streaming and understand how we can be best supported, give us our talking points, you know, like give us the breakdown of this is where you're, that helps us then like shill their message so that we can get those money, like those dollars actually coming in. I think that's something that I would love to see, is just having the charities themselves also embrace this digital space and this digital way of raising money.
My answer is very much not a COVID friendly answer. So this is more for when we can have in-person events again, just to be clear. I really, really like in-person events. And I think that sometimes people see streaming and think like, oh, cool. I think that when I went to the Gamers Outreach event in person, where they had a bunch of streamers put together in person, and everybody was like doing incentives together and interacting and like doing all these cool things, and there were companies supporting it and stuff, like it was insane, and it raised so much money. And it'd be really cool to see more events like that, because I think, I mean, time's allowing, that they do really well.
Agreed.
Do we have any final thoughts on that particular topic of what we want to see more of?
No, I just think more accessibility. Just making it easier for not just streamers, but for anyone to quickly, you know, basically have a very easy fundraising packet for people to say, here's how I can easily talk about this. Here's how this relates to me. Whether it's us doing digital, whether it's just some random person who learned about the charity and wants to ask their coworkers, or somebody who has a company who has a matching program. The accessibility to be able to say, great, I can get a quick data dump about this company, this charity that I know appeals to me and that I believe in. That would be a lot easier, I think, for streamers especially to talk about charities, but for everyone.
Do we have any final thoughts before we head out of here and let everyone relax before day 2 of the summit takes hold?
I'm so excited to do it again tomorrow.
Day 2's on y'all. Day 2 is all y'all.
Well, with all of that said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking some time today to talk about charity fundraising while being queer and or Black in these spaces. I really appreciate all the feedback and everything that we got today. I think we had a good conversation.
Yes,
We had a good conversation. I'm going to go ahead and remind everybody that we will be back tomorrow with day 2 of the summit starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, again on the front page of Twitch. Make sure you're there to watch all the fantastic people talk about topics and engage in things that are important to them in these spaces and in this general atmosphere. I don't remember if we have any videos or anything, but that's fine. You need to be here at noon anyway, so you can catch all of it. We're gonna go ahead and close out. I'm gonna go in the reverse order. Jambo, tell us who you are, what you do, and where we can find you.
I'm Jambo. You can find me on Twitch as Jambo, on social media as Play with Jambo. Variety streamer on Twitch. I'm live Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Whenever I can get there, hopefully not too late, but usually at noon.
I feel like there's a mood on that. It's like I have a schedule. I kind of have a schedule.
I have a day.
There you go. Frank?
I'm Frank the Pegasus across the board because nobody takes that username, I guess. So that's lucky for me. I'm live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, always at noon Eastern. So you can find me there, probably playing Animal Crossing, maybe surprisingly playing a horror game. There's a weird crossover there. I don't question it. I just love it all. So come hang out.
Awesome. Spofie?
I'm Spofie, just Spofie on Twitch, Spofie, or Spofie with 2 E's on Twitter because people do take my username, unfortunately. But I stream every single night, 7 nights a week at 9 p.m. Eastern until I get tired. So, yeah.
Excellent. Urban?
Hi, I am Urban Bohemian. Stream 3 days a week, Saturday and Sunday mornings and Tuesday afternoons. And I'm going to steal one little thing for a final thought, and I'm going to borrow from something that Vanessa said on stream a while ago. Charity streaming is very easy. All you need is an overlay and a timer in your bot. The rest will happen.
It's true, though. Do it right and it'll take care of itself. Last but not least, Lucille, where can we find you?
You can find me here at twitch.tv/LucilleXOXO. And even though I am the only Lucille in the entire world, there are other people who have taken that username, probably fans. So you can find me at It's Lucille XOXO on all the other social media. And yeah, I stream. I do 2 regular weekly streams, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then about once a month or so, we do a really fun big drag show. We just did a Dead by Daylight themed one. We've done all kinds of other ones. We have some coming up very soon. So keep an eye on those. Those are always really fun. They're usually charity shows. So come and check those out. I do a lot of chaos on my channel. We're doing a Sticky Fingers run of Phasmophobia this week, where we're going to steal everything from the house and put it back in the truck and drive off. So come and hang out and we'll cause problems for a good cause.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That is phenomenal, and I'm here for it. Last but not least, I am Pleasantly Twisted. I'm pleasantly twisted everywhere after being dragged for filth for not being pleasantly twisted everywhere. So now I am. That's Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. You can even find me on Medium. Sometimes I write about real important stuff there. And then other times I write about shower thoughts, like weird things involving different types of food condiments and everything. I play try-hard games and RPGs. Right now we're playing Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 starting this week. And then next month is Chrono Trigger month, and I'm real heckin' hype about it because I love Chrono Trigger ever since I found it 2 years ago. I know it's been out longer than that. No one needs to correct me. I completely understand that. And then I stream Wednesdays and Fridays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard and Saturdays at noon. And I usually go for about 5 or 6 hours, or until I start getting messages from my boyfriend saying, hey, can you shut the hell up? I'm trying to sleep. So that's where you can find me. And we talk about Black stuff and queer stuff too. So thank you again, everybody, for hanging out all day long for the entire Black Queer Excellence Summit. I really, really appreciate everyone who stuck around for the full summit. That's a lot of dedication, a lot of time. We greatly appreciate you here as members and guests and friends of the Rainbow Arcade. We're looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, behave yourself. Until then, behave yourselves and have a good rest of your evening. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.